who had asked to join the community of practice, join the state team, or just wanted to learn more. So that's been exciting. I do see that there are a couple of those people on the line today. So I'm just excited that the word is spreading. Also, later on the agenda, we will be talking about this a little bit more in depth, but we created a Facebook page early last week, and so that has been something that we had tossed around the idea of doing for a while. So I'm happy that that's up and running, and have invited as many people that I'm Facebook friends with to like and share and let other people know about that.
Lori Larson.
Hi. I was not at the last meeting. However, I have started the coursework for the Community of Practice Ambassador webinars and that sort of thing. And I also am using those tools with some person-centered thinking assessments that I have done, and have 4 that I'm doing next week. So.
Okay. How about Carol? Carol Force, are you on the line? No?
Yes, I am. And my commitment was to talk to our licensing staff. I work with the Division of Child Care Services, and to talk with licensing staff and how they can help providers and support families with resources, etc., which is something that we do on a regular basis anyway, and we did that, and now I can also share the Facebook page with them.
Okay. How about Casey?
Hi, this is Casey. I was at the last meeting, and I had kind of said that I'm with Benchmark. Sorry, we were going to try and get case managers a little more familiar with exactly what the community of practice is. We have done that a little bit. We're still not quite where I'd like us to be, but and then the other thing that we've really tried to work on with case managers is to work with families with expanding their options with community connections to find different ways, so it's not always just the CSP, to find outside resources to kind of help with supports and things. So that's what I've kind of done. Thank you.
Okay. How about Pam Hanna?
I knew as soon as I put a bite in my mouth you were going to do that.
Well, it is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Some of the things I've done. I said I would go back and speak more with the family support coordinators. I did that at our meeting in November, shared some information with them. I said I would come and try to see how we could work more within LifeQuest itself to use more of the tools. We're working on that and see how we can use that for more planning processes. We've had a few meetings with that. I said that I would try to work with a couple people on how can we, I don't know exactly what we were going to do. One of them was how can we help to expand this, if there was anything that I could do to do that. I've reached out a couple times, but I don't think we've been able to connect to see if there was something that I could do to help with that as a person-centered thinking trainer. Another thing is I've asked a couple people on the core committee for person-centered thinking if we could talk about this at our next meeting in February, where all of us come together and kind of plan the gathering, just to give us some updates on what's going on. So that's what I've done.
How about Arlene?
Hi there, this is Arlene with the DD Council, and we had a meeting, and Julie Hand gave a presentation to the full DD Council, and for myself, I also did rewatched a couple of the videos that are out on the website, just as a refresher for me.
How about Megan?
This is Megan with DD. I was at the meeting in October. One of the commitments that I had made was to start using the tools more proactively in my daily work. So working with case managers or DSP staff, or anybody I'm working with through transitions and things like that, starting to use these tools more and spreading the word.
Okay, I've also got, is Nikki LaFortune on?
Yep, that's Nikki and Katie.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I had you down twice. Sorry. Donna Fisher? Are you on the line, Donna? While we're waiting there, how about Carrie Churchill?
Hi there, this is Carrie Churchill. I'm with the Department of Health and the Bright Start program. I was at the October meeting, and I had made the commitment to bring up this work with the Office of Child and Family Services that we're part of, and I have done that. And then also in December, we had our quarterly Child and Family Services Interagency Committee, which is the state agencies that work with families and young children from different agencies. So social services, child care, birth to 3, Department of Health programs. And we haven't had representation from Human Services for a while. So we want to, my supervisor is Linda Arndt, is going to reach out to somebody to make sure that they can come and represent this work on that group.
Okay, thank you. Is Donna Fisher on the line?
I am on the line. I apologize. I was having a little technical difficulty.
That's okay. Just didn't want to overlook. Okay.
I apologize for last meeting, but we're just trying to incorporate using the tools a little more in our advocacy with individuals that we assist in.
Okay, we're having a hard time hearing you, Donna.
Is that any better?
All right, Donna, are you still on the line?
I am. Can you hear me any better?
Okay, while we're waiting, how about Ashley?
Hey there, I am on the line. I am new to this group, so I am just excited to, learn some new things, and then also to see how I can weave what this initiative is all about in relation to the children's supports that I manage through the Office of Community Living. So really excited just to learn more.
Hey, who else is on the line that I did not identify?
Bobby Jo Leggett.
Hi, Bobby. Do you want to tell us who you are?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch you.
That's okay. Just tell us who you are, where you're from, and if you made a commitment last time that we met in Pier, and give us an update on that personal commitment.
Well, I was not at that first meeting. I'm new to the group, and I work at Active Generations, and I help with the family caregiver program. And so excited to be a part of this group and see how we can kind of bring some of our stuff over this way too.
Okay, and you're from Sioux Falls, correct?
Yes, I'm from Sioux Falls. Thank you, Brenda.
Anybody else on the line that I didn't have a name for?
Yeah, this is Francie McGowan. Do you have me signed in?
I didn't see a name, but then I might not be seeing everybody here. So
okay,
now I'm seeing someone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Francie McGowan. I'm in Rapid City, and I was not at the last meeting. I had to work, and so I wasn't able to do the trip. But I pretty much live this every day because my contribution, being that I teach university classes in Spearfish and in Rapid City, I teach sociology,
which is a requirement for students that are seeking their human service degrees. And I also teach the core class of human services. So last fall, I was just so excited to be able to bring my classes this new and innovative format. I feel that I have this opportunity awarded to me. I am so privileged to be able to help identify the new programs and encourage future policymakers and actually get my hands on people who are going to be coming up in the ranks and applying for jobs as case managers. So they will already have some foundation to this, and I think we can look forward to a real successful group of people coming into the industry in the years to come, because we are teaching them at the grassroots level. So that's great, and I am so proud to be associated.
Oh, good. How about Christy Sweer?
Hi, this is Christy. I'm in learning mode here.
Okay.
Thanks.
And Gerald Tracy, are you on the line?
I am. This I wasn't at the October meeting. This is Jerry Tracy. I'm with Lifescape. And we're talking with Julie to get caught up and look forward to learning more and becoming a little more active with the group.
Great. Donna, I happened to hear you, Donna Fisher. If you want to give an update, and then we'll see if anybody else has joined. I couldn't hear you after you introduced your name.
This is Donna. Are you able to hear me now?
It's really hard. I'm getting kind of an echo.
I'll type it into the conversation.
Okay. I see. Donna's working to incorporate the tools in advocacy with individuals residing in nursing homes and assisted living. And is there anybody else on the line that I did miss?
This is Nina.
Oh, Nina, yes.
Well, I was going to talk to the local CSP, and I did, and they had all the information, but they really haven't used it. We've got a lot of other issues going on with our agency, so I haven't pushed it too hard. But our son's ISP is coming up, and I am going to use this tool, and bring it to his meeting, and hopefully that will get him going more along that line when they see how it will work. And then I'm also going to, I was going to contact partners in policy making, and I didn't get that done, but I'm going to talk to them and see if they won't consider doing this as one of their sessions for the graduating partners.
So anybody else?
Hello, this is Sarah Carter, and I am with the Birth to 3 program.
Okay. Were you at the meeting in October, Sarah?
I'm sorry, no, I wasn't able to attend.
Oh, okay, that's fine. We just welcome and appreciate anybody jumping in when they are able to. Anybody else that has not been introduced? I'll just give an update on the commitments I made. And with Crystal Ryder, we are doing that Good Life group, starting with a small group of families and just kind of seeing where it goes. So I'm kind of excited about that. We'll start next week. One of my other commitments was to get a couple of stories and videotape a parent and a principal where we did use a life course portfolio to help that transition to kindergarten. I've got an okay from the mom. We're going to tape a little story from her, and hopefully we can post that on the Facebook page. And then I haven't gotten a hold of the principal yet. And then one final commitment I think I made, I talked about doing a kind of like an electronic newsletter And I just got that drafted and sent to Julie this morning. We can probably send it out to get some feedback before it goes out to a wider group. Lynn, are you still on the phone? Because I didn't hear you interject there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm still on the phone, and I wanted to just mention about the Family Support Council, and we've been trying to get them interested in joining some of those work groups, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. That's it.
Okay. Well, it's interesting just going around doing an opening round like that. There is a lot going on in our own little corners of our world, but it is starting to get some legs under it and get spread. So, Terry, did you want to go on to the next item?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just review the agenda. In our peer office, Julie Hand had put the agenda together, I believe. So, Julie, I'm going to ask you, is there any changes on the agenda that you want to make today?
No, unless there are any questions or follow-up, I think we can probably assign a recorder and a very flexible timekeeper. But other than that, I don't think so, unless there are questions.
Okay. Does anybody want to volunteer to be a flexible timekeeper today? Well, I'll go ahead and do that. It is now, what do we have, 11:57. We're a little bit behind with our opening round, which isn't a problem because we've got all kinds of flexibility. We'll try to end timely at 1 o'clock today because I know we all have things to do. Anybody would be willing to be the recorder?
If it makes anyone feel better about it, you don't have to record all the conversation verbatim. Really just catching the high points, and if there are action items that people volunteer to do or mention they're already doing, we just want to catch kind of any decisions or actions that we walk away from today with.
This is Ashley. I can do that.
Okay, thanks, Ashley. All right, so we'll go ahead and move into our next section. Lee, you want to go ahead?
Sure. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about today, and if you have had a chance to go out to the link that was in the agenda, the SurveyMonkey survey, it outlines some different ways to be involved with our community of practice in South Dakota. So one of the ways is to really just, if you're not able to commit the time and energy essentially to get involved with the day-to-day decisions, helping kind of keep progress moving forward, there's still an opportunity to stay involved, and that would be through just like what I would term our stakeholder level participation, where we'll provide some updates, following the Facebook page, just kind of staying in the loop as much as you're able. Another way to stay involved would be to join one of the innovations areas, or to be actively using the tool and be sharing that information on the Facebook page, or sharing that with other people throughout South Dakota, and ideally the state team, so we can be learning what's being tried out there. The innovations areas we'll talk about in just a little while. I believe I have that separately. Maybe I don't.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that a little bit more. But the other way, the third way, which would probably require the most time and energy, would be to be on the, quote, state team. And so when we think about the term state team, that's been used really broadly so far, and knowing that we have a pretty large number of people who are interested and want to stay engaged, we would think about the state team as that core group who really tries to keep tabs on the different activities that need to happen to make sure that there is continued momentum in the state. So as we get into our priority areas, I think we'll probably be able to identify some role for people who fit into any of those levels of involvement. And then I think, sorry, I'm flipping through my agenda here quick. The innovations areas, I think maybe I was going to talk about that here. I'm going to, I was going to pull up a document, but maybe I'll spare us. The innovations groups, there is an innovation group on policy, which really involves how the life course framework, how supporting families is being considered at an organizational policy level, a state policy level, how you really incorporate that into, for example, how could South Dakota incorporate that into our administrative rules, into our waivers, into our processes, and how we function and really how we think about supports and how we evaluate whether what we're providing is something that is helpful to one person, the one person in the Division of DD's, situation. It would be that person with an intellectual or developmental disability. We definitely want to provide support to them, and that's our number one priority. But also, how can we look at our practices and processes and how things are written, policies are written that might be impacting that larger context of the family. So that's policy. There's an innovations group on support coordination that really, and when I say there's an innovations work group, that means that there are other people in all of the other community of practice states who are also working on these themes. And so these calls and webinars are participating in sort of a dialogue with people from other states and learning from one another. So when you're new to the group, I would say it's pretty low pressure to share, but certainly you're welcome to if you're able or have, an example to share. But as South Dakota gets going and gets a little more traction in each of these areas, then probably the expectation to share would increase a little bit more. So sorry for a little sidebar, I should have started with that. But the support coordination is just what it sounds like. We really want to learn how service coordinators, case managers, support coordinators, case workers, whatever term you use, the function is really the same, to be helping with the navigation and discovery so people know what there is to access and when they need to access it, their connection to others, and then the goods and services. So how are support coordinators using the framework and the life course tools? There's a work group around family engagement, which is really about how to get true collaboration with families, and as well as how to create those strong family networks within the state. There is a work group around employment specifically, so how the life course tools and framework apply to employment and what people in other states are trying. Okay, so we mentioned the policy, we mentioned family engagement, support coordination. There is also cultural competency that is just getting started this year, and so that's really about how you apply the life course and take that in context with not only the family structure but also some of the cultural things that might be happening within that family structure, and that might be just different traditions, it might be a different language or different customs, so that could be pretty broad. And then it seems like there's another one. Am I forgetting one?
Family front door.
Yes, family. Yes, the front door to support. Thank you. I knew there was one I wasn't seeing here, which is really about the point of entry into services, and that also came up as one of our priority areas for South Dakota, because we talked in October about how there are so many ways that a person could enter the service world, whether it's through the school district, whether it's through Birth to 3. It might be through our division. It might be through voc rehab. It might be through, the aging and disability-related services. There's just so many ways that a person could encounter, quote, the system. And how do we really be cognizant about the experience that people have and that they're getting a consistent message and they're not having to make 6 different phone calls only to be referred back to the first person they called. So there are some states using the trajectory and the integrated STAR in really interesting ways in that regard. So that's the Family Front Door will be focusing on that as a priority. So those are the innovations areas. We've talked about being, getting engaged as a stakeholder and getting updates, being involved in one of these innovations areas or otherwise using the tools and just sharing your learning with others, or being on our core state team. So I just wanted to lay that out there. If there are questions, now would be the time to ask, and I will do my very best to answer them.
I just have a comment, Julie, because I participated on that cultural competency call. I think it was in November, late November or early December, but it's really, when she says no pressure and kind of low key, there was about 6 people on it from different parts of the country, Ohio, DC, South Dakota, and other places, and just a conversation about what they are doing using Life Course in that particular area. So it would be a good way to kind of, if you're interested in employment or support coordination, participate on a call and see what it's like. It's usually a small group, and I really learned a lot too. So.
Thanks, Brenda. And if you're interested in either just hopping on the line, for a call and trying it out, like Brenda mentioned, let us know, and we can send you connection information. Also, if you're getting involved in one of the groups on a longer term basis, please go out and complete that SurveyMonkey link. You can email me directly, but I'm really kind of trying to focus in on the survey results to look at who wants to be on which group, and you can choose more than one, but each state has 5 spots available for each of those innovations groups, and so trying to make sure that we have a good mixture of folks on each of them. We definitely absolutely want family representation. We're trying to get some level of Department of Human Services engagement on each one, so we can kind of keep that policy at the forefront of our minds as well, and providers, and we just want to have a really diverse group. So,
Julie, this is Terry. I did get your email last week about the Front Door to Support, so I would be very interested in partaking in that one. And I've got the calendar already, so sign me up on that. I would think it would be really interesting, and I'm going to try to push somebody from the community support aspect and or a conflict-free case manager to join me on that, because there's we all see different aspects of families trying to access supports and services. So a couple other folks would be willing to join with me. That would be great, but I'll go ahead and throw my hat in the ring on that one.
Okay, thanks, Terry.
Anything else? If not, Brenda, Julie, are you done? And Brenda, do you want to go ahead and start next? It's now 12:09. We've got just about a little bit under an hour.
Okay. So let me go back to my agenda. So we're going to talk about the priority areas that we identified, and those should have come in the notes that Julie had attached to this meeting notice. But
yes.
One of the... Right,
Brenda, I was also going to say, the slideshow that I have up does outline each of the areas, just so people have people have a visual in the event that they didn't get the notes printed or don't have them available immediately.
Wonderful. That's great. So does the next slide get into? Great. Oh, that's helpful. Okay, so the first priority area that's identified there is we talked about really important to have good communication. And under that, of course, that's a broad area. But we talked about what is a consistent message that we can share with the Supporting Families community of practice and about the Life Course framework. I had the National Charting the Life Course framework has a Facebook page, and I had posted the question on there. Does anybody have like an elevator speech or something that I find it hard to kind of tell somebody about it in a concise, clear way that they can understand, so I was looking for help and found out that it isn't as concise as a 2-minute elevator speech. But I did get a few ideas, and I can put that together and kind of pass it out to everybody and see what they think. But having a consistent message would be important. We talked about having a South Dakota one-page update. That's what I was trying to do in this draft that I made of a kind of like an electronic newsletter, kind of what people have been up to and what's been happening to keep people engaged and informed and kind of still in that loop. A fresh perspective, maybe somebody can help me about what we talked about there. Multiple organizations within the community working collaboratively. Oh, we were talking about there, I think, having joint presentations or input sessions that include the framework, and different community advisory boards. Maybe there's a community advisory board or a group that isn't necessarily disability related, but that we can learn from each other and provide updates. Julie, did you have anything else under that communication?
That sounds good.
Okay. So in order to have that, do you want to go to the next slide? And be thinking about maybe what you might want to participate in as we go through some of these. We felt it was really a priority to increase the capacity for knowledge and understanding of the Life Course framework here in South Dakota. So we need to build that capacity for the expertise in what are the principles that guide the framework, what are the tools, so that we are able to share it with other people and have some confidence and competence in doing that. So we were looking at what's the criteria, what's the expectations to be proficient to teach others, how do we learn more about it ourselves, and how do we kind of support and help each other to increase our skill level within the community of practice. You've heard several people say that they just started the Life Course Ambassador Series. Lynn, Rick, and I completed the first go-around of the Ambassador Series. We completed that this fall. And Elaine, Terry, Lori, Larson, Francie, I believe, and Carrie Geppert are involved in the second round of the Ambassador Series. South Dakota had an opportunity for 5 people to participate in that, and it's learning all the guiding principles and the tools in a more in-depth way. Coming along with that, there is homework and expectations for you in order to get through that class, but it's very helpful. So, I think part of it too is thinking about each of us, how do we increase our understanding and understanding. There are a variety of ways to do that. The Facebook page will help, but also the lifecoursetools.com. There's tons of videos and examples of using the tools. Anybody have anything to add in that area? Community events and awareness. how do we share the efforts of the community of practice so that we are keeping in mind the all, that we're going beyond the so-called disability field. And since this is a framework that is about thinking about developing and utilizing strategies that work for everyone, how do we make sure that we are going beyond our disability groups? And so it's nice to have a broader group that participates on the state team. How do we get the information out there? Who can we partner with? How do we kind of get involved? Under this one is that Good Life group practice. That's something that Crystal and I are trying here in Sioux Falls. That could, a Good Life group could be around any particular discipline or group. Ours is focusing right now on parents with families who have young children. That's just the place we decided to start. And how do we get information to a broader audience as well? We had talked about food banks, extension offices, community health clinics, and so on. So that was one of the other priority areas that we had identified. The next slide. The front door to supports, and Julie mentioned this already. How does that first conversation look, and how do we utilize maybe the life course framework to help guide that? You can see that long-term services and supports is rebranding the adult and disability resource centers. Can we offer life course training to different groups and leaders? And we talked about using the website resources like in DHS to align with some of the principles, the 3 buckets of support, or with the life stages and domains, so that people kind of get a consistent message there again across. And so this one, I think our hope was that there'd be that single point of contact. Correct? Do you have anything to add, Julie?
Can you repeat that last part, Brenda?
Our plan or our goal was kind of that, no matter who first has that first conversation, it's kind of guided by the framework.
Yes.
Or having a single point of having no wrong door, correct?
Exactly. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. And then the last priority area, and this was something that we had heard throughout the listening sessions that we did earlier this fall, that people really wanted to be able to have support so they could live and stay in the communities they've grown up in, around the people that they know. And so this was one area that we felt should be a priority also. Thinking, again, about how supports are delivered and how do we utilize the natural supports or look for natural supports or develop natural supports, as well as use those paid services to build a full life and a good life. So those were the 4 priority areas. We all voted, and the top 3 that came up were the front door, support to stay in my community, and good communication. So where do we want to go with those from there? Is that something that we want to use on the call to kind of find out who's interested in what area? I think our thinking was if we get a group or a committee around those different areas, it would give people kind of not as many areas to focus on, but one that they'd really like to invest in.
Yeah, I think that if we can determine that yes, we do want to form some small groups around each of these topics. That would be the first step. This was also part of that survey that was sent out, and so I have some initial notes from the few responses that I'd had when I checked last week. So people could either speak up on the phone or enter a comment in the chat box, or just maybe let us know if they want to think about it more and would put something into the survey. But we do want to really get started on getting some momentum in each of those areas.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, I think from the opening round, people are doing some things in probably each of these in their own arena, so to speak, or own communities. But how do we kind of band together or group together so that we can really get some momentum going to have a little bit more intention about making progress on some of those priority areas? What would work best for people? If you know if there's an area you'd like to be on, you're certainly welcome to identify that now. Anybody have a particular interest in a certain area?
Brenda, this is Elaine. I just put in the chat box that I can't remember. I did the survey. Any one of the two worked for me, but I think that the support to stay in my community would be the best choice for me, having been doing transition assessments, and that's been the issue in all of them. How do we get the supports we need for our own community? So I'm willing to do that.
Right, and I think, we kind of think of that in the CSP area, but I also see that in other areas as well. Aging and also for families. Having the support they need makes a difference whether they can continue to live in the community and be supported while they live where they choose.
Right.
Anybody else have a area that they'd like to focus on? Okay.
Brenda, this is Bobby Joe. Sorry to interrupt there. When I'm listening to some of these things, and I had already emailed you, Julie, I'm contemplating about where I should be. So, for me personally, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, I have to kind of think about, where my passion is and also where I could best be used at right now. So I might change my mind. I might have to send you some information later. So.
And that's okay. No one would prevent you from participating in a couple of areas either. But you have to use your time well. Anybody else?
This is Ashley. Yeah. I know sometimes people don't necessarily want to speak up, or it's hard when we have multiple people trying to chime in at the same time. So I just put together a quick little doodle poll that outlined the 3 areas. So if people wanted to respond to that, right now or later on, but I put that into the chat box and I can send it out in the notes too. Then we can kind of just pull all the responses together and get that to you leaders or whomever is kind of heading all of this up and go from there.
I think that's a great idea, Ashley. Thanks for doing that. Do we want to just have the 3 priority areas or the 5?
How about the 5? This is Francie in Rapid City. I have 2 sides of the coin here because I'm interested in all of it because it's all a system. But besides being an instructor, I'm also a parent, and I have been on this trail for 33 years. And what I have learned and what I've put together for my own daughter who has a developmental disability has gone all the way from 0 to 1,000,000 miles an hour, where she is her own homeowner, staying in her community, adding to the community. And I'm very, very interested in providing what we have done for her to others who are looking for maybe something more concrete, home ownership, shared living, and the support so that they're not specifically needing to be in institutional care. So that's my area of expertise, and I'd like to offer that.
So are you thinking like you're interested in the support to stay in the community? Looking at it,
yeah.
You know, okay. That doesn't mean you can't have involvement in other things as well.
Well, I already teach this class load right now of human service providers. I have 60 students this semester. So I think I'm reaching out in the foundational area. But this is important, but both parts of the coin are so important to me. So I was also hearing someone else had mentioned about community supports that are kind of unique. When they introduced themselves, I didn't get their name. So I'd like to know, too, if someone has other ideas for community involvements that aren't your typical, because I have some experience in that area, too. So I'd like to share and interact with someone on those topics.
Okay.
Thank
Julie
you.
just posted in the thanks, Francie. Julie just posted in the conversation box a link to the whole survey, the priority areas and interested innovations work group. So if you want to take a look at that, and if you have not filled that survey out, please do so. I think it'd be helpful to kind of form our efforts.
That Survey Monkey, is that what you're speaking of, the Survey Monkey thing?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay.
Good.
Anybody else have anything to say, or maybe we'll just do it by poll and then kind of follow up with that later? Would that work?
Think so. Sounds good
Yeah.
to me.
Thank you.
Lynn.
And for those of you who have put a comment in the chat box, I have written down what you indicated. So.
Okay, Lynn.
Okay. Let's see. I'm on the agenda for how often will the state team members meet and how often will the updates be provided to the larger group. And I think we should just speak to the larger group and ask them how often we could do this or how often do they want to be updated. And again, I think if we go back to that Survey Monkey, I was wondering if we couldn't ask, how do you want to receive updates on what's going on? How do you want to share what you're doing on a regular basis? Do you want your schedule to be monthly, quarterly, semi-annually? Do you want it by phone, face-to-face, maybe a combination of both, maybe the Skype or the Zoom, something like that? What time of day works best for you guys? Anyway, I'm curious if it would be best, instead of going around our whole group, is if we set up a survey and got the information that way, and we could go with the most popular comment.
Hey, Lynn,
how would that?
Lynn, I can do a little poll right here during the meeting that people can respond to. So you mentioned email, Facebook, a Skype meeting. What other options might we entertain?
Face-to-face.
Zoom. I'm joining by phone, so I'm not catching all your the conversation book list and the slides that you have up. So let's see, what else I was just asking about the schedule being monthly, quarterly. How often do they want to update, and how do they want to share the information that they're using and how they're using the life course framework in their individual fields or in their families, whoever's, depending on who it is.
Julie, are you putting something online right now?
Yes, I just put it out on the Skype meeting. And so it looks like people are clicking in. I'm trying to figure out how to get the hang on. There we go. So you can all see how the responses are coming in as people respond. And if
go ahead, Julie.
I was just going to say, if people are only on the phone, if you don't mind speaking up, if you have a preference, or you can email myself or Lynn after maybe.
This is Francie. I'm on my phone out of my office, so just put me down for the majority of the votes for contacts. It would work for me. Thank you.
That will work for me also. This is Lynn.
This is Crystal, and I personally like meeting quarterly. I think monthly. I mean, depending on what we're meeting about. Obviously, the separate committees will need to meet a little more often, but as a bigger group, it'd be nice to meet quarterly. And I think I do like the meetings via Skype, but I also think it's nice to meet in person because at the October meeting, we were able to really discuss a lot of things in depth. So I think a mixture of both would be good.
Okay. Okay, it looks like as far as the best way to get updates to the larger group, for email, 55%, and this is based on 11 responses, so keep that in mind. 55% said email, 9 said Facebook, Skype meeting 18, and face-to-face 18. So I think that probably primarily will go out through email. I would guess that we'll do that in partnership with Facebook. But my next question was also going to be the frequency, and so I'll try to get that up and running here real quick. And I would kind of anticipate that what Crystal has mentioned will be a pretty popular response, but just I will.
I think I like that idea too. I think quarterly, otherwise it gets so far apart that it's hard to get re-engaged or re-engage people. I do like having an occasional face-to-face so that we can seems like we get things done, not only on the agenda, but a lot of good ideas come up. And then if people just want to kind of keep updated, there's that Facebook that hopefully will be things new added to it each week. So that can be a choice if people, how frequently they might go to that.
Okay, new poll coming at you.
Julie, are you sending that through our Skype line, the poll?
Yes.
I'm not getting that. I don't know if anybody else is having the same issue that I am, but
I had this Elaine and I have it. And I like that you put maybe a combination of Skype and face-to-face. That makes good sense.
I wonder if we could send out that poll via email so that everybody has a chance to take a look at it and maybe get it back to us, with the end of the day or so we can put that in our notes and send out that information.
Okay. That was going to be my suggestion too, because I'm just on a phone, so I'm not getting any of these polls.
So how about for those of you who are only on the phone, because I can see for sure the people who are dialed into Skype, but then I just have like a list of phone numbers, and I know that some people are dialed into Skype and by phone. So if I'm just going to put out there, rather than me sending an email, so I just outlined how often should the entire community practice meet. It might be a combination of Skype and face-to-face. The options I put were monthly, quarterly, or twice a year. If those of you who are on the phone can just send me a quick email with your preference versus me putting a survey, creating a survey and then sending it and then you sending it back. If you're on the phone, just shoot me a quick email what your preference is, and I'll put that. Right now we have 12 responses and everyone has said quarterly. So
Julie, this is Elaine. I think the next question is times of day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you're doing a Skype meeting, you can do that about any time of the day. If face-to-face requires a little different kind of preparation.
Right.
True.
I think you could do a monthly update via email, and then have other times of the year where you're meeting via Skype or face-to-face. So then everybody's still engaged at least monthly, but, you know, with work schedules and just life, it's not easy to meet face-to-face.
I wonder if people could check into the Facebook account and get their updates. You know, you could do it daily or you could do it monthly. But I think all the updates will be on that Facebook. Am I right there, or am I off base?
Yeah. I think we'll try to put a lot of the updates on Facebook where we're actually recording this meeting. So I'm hoping that we can get that recording uploaded to Facebook, to our Facebook page as well. So anyone who missed out or would like to hear what we discussed or decided could tune in.
Great.
I think we can probably move on from this. Okay. We don't have a lot of time. Okay. So I'm hearing that we might want to go to the next agenda item. So I'm going to put this, let's see here. Sorry. I'm going to just put this quick survey up and talk a little bit more about the Facebook page, and then I'll present my screen so you guys can all just get a shot, a look at that, what it looks like right now. I don't want to change the content. Yes, then I think the poll will go away. So like I said, we created a Facebook page. It is called SD Charting the Life Course. I also put the link in the agenda, so if you receive the agenda, you can, hopefully that link is functional and you can just go straight to it and follow it, share it with others who you think might be interested. If you have, the way we have it set right now is that anyone can post to that. So if you have something that you've tried or something that you've come across that you think other people might think is cool, or you just want to let people know that you're working on or learned about, anyone can post on that. No, there's no really official channel that you have to go through. We kept that pretty open, at least to start. I wouldn't anticipate anyone in this group will be abusing our Facebook page. But, you know, just in case, we did set the profanity radar pretty high. So, sharing on our Facebook page. Anyway, just kind of a side joke there. In case you get really riled up about something, keep your language under control, please. Okay, I've got responses. I've got 9 responses. It looks like over lunch is at 50%, afternoon 25%, morning 25%. No one chose evenings, which makes me feel better because I always feel guilty for scheduling meetings during the day, knowing that that's hard for families, but then having kids of my own, I know that the evenings are not any easier in my life. So, okay, I'm going to pull up the Facebook page here really quick, just to give you guys a visual. And so this is what it looks like. We've had a few posts early last week. We got some right as soon as we created it. So the SurveyMonkey link is also out on the Facebook page. We also posted public comment notice for our choices waiver. That's on the Facebook page. We have the live video of Shelley Reynolds presenting at the South Dakota Gathering. It's long, but if you have some time and are interested in what she shared, that's available.
Hey, Julie.
Oh, yes?
On my screen, I'm still seeing the poll. Did I not?
Oh, hang on. I might have missed a step here. Yep, I missed a step. Okay, you'll be able to see it in a second. And then you'll see all the wonderful things I just mentioned.
I know.
Okay, there we go. Can you see it now?
It's loading. Okay, got it.
So we have like I said, the SurveyMonkey link. We have our public comment link, the Facebook Live video of Shelley Reynolds presenting at the gathering. And then we just took some graphics from the National Community of Practice. So this one just talks about the different aspects and how family impacts an individual's life. We have a short YouTube video of Shelley Reynolds explaining the life course principles. So it's pretty basic. It's a pretty basic posting right now, but hopefully we'll get more and more sharing and exchange of ideas by using this. And that's all I really had to say about the Facebook page. If there are other ways that we could stay connected between meetings, outside of those email updates and the Facebook page, if other people have ideas, I would be interested to hear them. Okay, well, I think we can probably move on to our next agenda item, which is really to talk about some of...
We're just shy of 15, just a little bit, like 17 minutes left.
So given that, I am going to suggest that that we skip over the upcoming events because I feel like that's something that we can share just as well over email or on the Facebook page. And I'm going to turn over to Derek an update on the Lifespan Respite Coalition, since he's on the agenda for a little while. So, Derek, if you can just share with us what it is and what progress or what's been done so far.
I think we shared somewhat of what it was at the October meeting, but a refresher, the Department of Human Services got a grant written part of our LTSS, Long-Term Service and Supports. They wrote a grant for respite care, and what it is expanding access and the use of respite care in South Dakota. Some of the things that we're doing with that is we're going to develop a directory of providers for respite care, and they can cross over into companion care, personal care, and then along with that, we will do some better public awareness, as we noticed that a lot of our respite care programs are not well utilized and just not well known. So we're working on 3 different focus areas. One is a public awareness campaign as far as getting our website touched up and getting the word spread easier, and then getting the registry looked at, and that's going to go kind of along with the new ADRC hotline. And then also there's going to be a caregiver survey that we're going to use within all of our programs to better assess the needs of the families. And like I said, we just got the grant, so it's kind of a work in progress. We are excited at what we're going to do with it, but it's kind of in the beginning stages. So we're having another meeting in February for our coalition, and by then we'll probably have a little bit more work done on that.
Any questions for Derek about any of that?
So is this going to be kind of a web-based registry?
Yep, it's we're going to have it hosted on our DHS website, and in order for someone to get placed on there, we'll have a background check done. At least that's something that we're looking at. I know that's kind of the way we're leaning, but then we'll also get some training developed that they can take some training, probably an online type of training, so that they can be, quote unquote, certified by the state, just to be able to be put onto our directory. And then on there, families will be able to go on there and contact that person in their area that they would like to use for respite or companion care or anything like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
If not, do we want to move on then, Julie? Brenda,
Yeah.
you were on next. We've got just about 14 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just ask the group if there was or items that you think that we should add to our agenda when we meet again, however we meet, whether it's through a call or online or in person. What would you like to know more about or hear about, or just on a call like this?
This is Elaine. And one of the things, I don't know about the others who started the ambassador series, but I think it would be good for the group to know what's involved in how that can assist us. Having ambassadors can assist us in spreading the word. So I'd like to have the whole group have a little more information about that.
Okay. Is there anything else that people would like to know more about, or what would help you in your own learning and understanding of the framework, or what's happening in South Dakota? Anybody?
This is, Brenda, this is Terry. I think it might be helpful for families to understand a little bit more about the initiatives under the shared living that the division is working with RHD on, so we can give families a little bit more information about the future of that.
Okay.
This is Lynn. I'd like to see how the life course framework is being used by the agencies, in an everyday kind of situation.
I wonder if that could be sort of a sharing of the different innovations groups.
Sure.
Oh.
Because I think we'll have some mixed representation that might not be. I'm trying to remember who's volunteered for what in my mind, but it might not be specific to CSPs or case managers through DDD, but I think there will be a good mix of what they're learning or maybe what they're trying as a result of participating in that.
Okay. And if people come up with different things, please feel free to email Julie. Can you be the collector of that? You don't have to make the agenda necessarily, but can you be the
Sure.
repository of information there, and then we can decide who makes the agenda from there, I guess.
I have this is Lori Larson. I was just investigating the Facebook page, and I am an admin for South Dakota Parent Connections Facebook page, and I was trying to like the page, and for some reason there must be some sort of setting on there that other organizations are not able to like it, only people are. So I'm wondering if you could figure out how that could be changed so then other organizations can share some of the Facebook posts that are posted on that Facebook page.
Thank you, Lori. I probably would have never encountered that. So I will make a note, and I'm going to turn that right over to our communications guy to let him figure out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Check, Julie. Check that one off. Anything else? And like I said, if somebody has something, just feel free to email it to Julie, and then we'll try and get it on the agenda.
What about people that are on this phone call and would be more interested, would have an interest in having staff trained or families that they're working with trained or that kind of thing? And is there something maybe set up to get that going, or not so much?
So the what if somebody wants training?
Yes. I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. Yeah. If someone would like training or more training on this life course framework.
This is Terry. What I would think right now, we've got 2 ambassadors who have gone through the ambassador series, and then there's 5 of us right now going through the series.
Right.
I don't want to volunteer Lynn or Brenda about, offering you guys to train, but I would fully be interested and willing to help facilitate a training for those who are more interested once I was finished with the ambassador series. Brenda, could you or Lynn speak to the ability now?
Go ahead, Brenda.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, there has been some, through, I put in a couple proposals to conferences, but then of course you only have like an hour and 15 minutes. I put together a training, did at South Dakota, the Developmental Center, to talk about the framework principles, and so on. Practice with the tools and everything. So there's, we've got all the materials that it takes. It's just a matter of putting it together to meet whatever need there is, depending the audience.
Right, and we've also did a training with South Dakota Advocates for Change, and they've come up with their own training, so that's also available.
Yep. And we're going to be learning through this Good Life group we're starting, because we want to do it in a way that's not a typical training. We kind of want to do it for these families in a kind of relaxed, casual atmosphere, but they're learning as well as contributing. So that's not a very clear answer, but but there's different options.
I don't remember who asked the question, but it would probably be best if whoever had brought that up to contact Brenda or Julie at the division and see if specific points can't be, or training points can't be developed and shared.
Right, or you could even post that on the Facebook page to, just provide a little bit more detail about, who it is and kind of what the focus would be, or what you'd want people to walk away with.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I pipe in about the Good Life group? What I think the goal is, especially coming from, parents and stuff, is that we're hoping to find an environment where people feel comfortable and hopefully can get this started. Is it easier to get a group of small people together, or would it be better to go one-to-one to their home? I think a lot of times when you try to get support groups or groups together, it's a struggle with daycare and other stuff. So I think it's just a trial to see how well that would work. I mean, the information is really good, but again, there's a lot of information to know and to learn and to teach, and so I think the struggle is finding out how we can get that to those specific groups. So I think next week, hopefully, we'll get a real feel for a good way to get that out there, specifically to families, I think, more so than, to the schools and other stuff. So.
Well, and the other piece, knowing that one of the 3 buckets of support is the need for connection, we were thinking this offers people an opportunity to connect with other parents, but you can't kind of dictate whether they'll connect and gel and want to continue as a group or move on. So it kind of lends itself to opportunities without being tied to the outcome other than learning life course.
I hate to rush everybody, but I'm trying to be a good timekeeper. We have 5 minutes left.
Okay. I'm done with the items. I've got some things.
Julie, should we wrap up target dates and when we want to meet again?
Yes. Well, Arlene was kind of prepared to talk about what we need to do before we meet again, but I think that's, have you taken any notes specific to that?
The only thing that I have in my mind that we need to do is to all of us make sure that we've done the Survey Monkey, or responded to the polls that Julie has out. If I don't remember that I've taken the survey, I might just go take it again and give you better answers this time. I don't know. That's my suggestion.
And it'll only let you take it once from each computer, so that's a good way to see if you've taken it or not. And then the other piece from the note-taking is just to look at that security setting on the Facebook page to make sure that that's updated. But I think that's all I have for action items right now.
Okay, thanks. So, was it Brenda or Lynn? I can't remember which of you mentioned setting up a kind of a target date. So if I base this on the poll that we did and meeting quarterly, we would meet again in like April. Does that sound about right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Correct. So I think for the larger group, we can plan for that. And I saw that kind of the sweet spot, at least, of the people who filled out the poll within the meeting was over lunch. So maybe we can aim for that again, unless I get emails flooded in that tell me otherwise.
Do it after the national conference, and then you can just report on that.
Yes.
You might need 2 lunches.
Right. So we do have the annual meeting and the showcase, which is really all the states coming together in sort of a conference gathering type format to learn from each other. That is in mid-April. That's like the 18th through the 20th, I believe. So Arlene and I will probably be looking at our budget through the DD Council to determine how many people we can send down to Kansas City for those dates. It was a really good opportunity and really fantastic learning experience last year. So hopefully we can get even more people down there. But it would make good sense for us to meet after that occurs so we can provide maybe some updates there. And then the smaller groups, once I get, I'll just have to send an email update probably with how those the membership on those groups shakes out, and then send forth that we can set up meetings with each of those specifically to kind of figure out an action plan. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good. That sounds good, Julie.
Sounds good.
All right.
Great job. Great job. Thank you. This is great. Thank you for your time.
Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll you'll hear from us, or we'll hear from you soon. Hopefully both.
Julie?
Thanks. Yes.
Julie.
Yep.
Do you have time, Brianna? Do you have time to talk after this?
Let me see.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. I have a meeting at 1:30, and I need to eat.
Okay.
But if you don't mind me chewing, I can put you on speakerphone.